Welcome to our Munster Global Village 2020-2021. This is a project organized by the Sanctuary with Psychology in the Department of Psychology at the University of Limerick in Ireland. We receive funding from the Department of Justice, the Community Integration Fund, to organize and deliver events that will promote intercultural awareness and celebrate cultural diversity here in the Midwest of Ireland. Our project involves people from around the world who study or work and live here in Ireland. For our first global village, we worked together to share moments of pride in our own cultures and to learn and delight in how other people celebrate spring. Spring celebrations was our theme. We each put together information, video, comments, music about our vision and our version of cultural and social events, as we and our closest family or friends enjoy these moments in our home countries. We present here the results of cross-cultural work and friendships that we came up with during 3 months of meeting and learning how to appreciate the beauty of cultural diversity.
We would like to start our global village by showcasing how people have celebrations with their families and friends. For most communities, it is common to spend special occasions with loved ones and exchange food and presents. It may be obvious at first why people do that. However, in some cultures, there is a deeper meaning behind it. Does it sound exciting? Then let's start watching our first videos from Kazakhstan, Ireland, and Romania. Nowruz is a celebration that marks the first day of spring and the beginning of a new year. It is celebrated on the day of the vernal equinox, which usually occurs on 21st of March. Nowruz translates as New Day from Farsi, and it has been celebrated for over 3,000 years in Central Asia, the Middle East, and other regions. The festivities of Nowruz reflect the renewal of the earth that occur with the coming of spring. In Kazakhstan, the Nowruz holiday symbolizes fertility, friendship, and love. On this special day, people dress up, visit close friends and family, and offer well wishes to everyone around them. Nowruz is celebrated for 3 days, sometimes an entire month, and it is filled with singing, dancing, national games, and special food. The must-try traditional dish during the celebration is called Nowruz Koje, and now I would like to show you how to make it.
Generously served food is one of the main elements of celebrating Nowruz. It symbolizes prosperity and well-being. According to a common belief, the way you spend the holiday shows how you are going to spend the entire next year. That is why the dining tables are often filled with a variety of home-cooked traditional food. The main dish at the festive table is Nowruz Koje. There are different variations of cooking the traditional meal, but it should always have 7 ingredients, indicating 7 vital forces. Water is added as a symbol of the human life. Meat symbolizes strength. The meal is usually cooked from dried horse meat, prepared in advance in winter.
Көбіне солтүстік болғасын бізде жылқының еті болады. Қазы.
Chefs in the north add horse meat, Kazikarta Jalg Jaya. The elderly people say that they prefer adding horse meat because it is cold in the north, and horse meat and horse fat makes them feel full and energetic.
Майлы ет болғасын жылулық береді деп айтатын үлкендер.
Grains are the inherent ingredients of the Nowruz Koje. Milk is also added. Grains denote happiness and milk symbolizes fortune. Dried salted cheese balls, called kurt, are also essential in the Koje. Salt symbolizes rich flavor, and there's a Kazakh folk wisdom. Salt gives tastefulness to the food. Wise words give brightness to the thought.
Осы дайын көже бұрынғы кезімізде ауылда аталарымыз
This koje is ready. Our grandparents told us that our ancestors used to drink 1 cup of koje early morning before going to fields and pastures, and they remained full the whole day. This wonderful meal is good for health.
Сондай осының керемет қасиеттігі мол. Адамға тойымдық береді, денсаулыққа пайдалы.
It is considered that the components of Nowruz Koja symbolize wisdom, health, abundance, the heavens' protection. According to ancient beliefs, you need to eat this meal in 7 houses and you should serve it to your guests as well. In the past, women visited their neighbors with their own dishware to fill them with koja and pour it into their own pot. It symbolizes unity. According to the tradition, guests are always offered a full cup and they should empty it.
Hi guys, so I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do for this presentation, and I love to bake, so I decided to look at different kind of classical Irish recipes, and soda bread is an Irish staple, I suppose, and it's representative of a lot of the best Irish things in a way. It's simple. It came about out of necessity from the poverty at the time, that it was what people could afford to make. The ingredients are so simple. And it's not actually originally Irish either. It's originally from North America. The Native Americans would, the kind of what came before bicarbonate of soda was potash, a type of potash, and that's what they used to make bread and to raise the bread. So then when baking powder was mass produced, it was popular in Ireland because the Irish people couldn't afford yeast, and it also worked well with the softer Irish flour. And there's that bit of superstition with it as well that's kind of in everything that's part of Irish tradition, and it's that the bread was scored to let out the fairies, so a cross is cut in the top, and that's the it's kind of that mixture between Catholicism and kind of superstition that's in pretty much everything Irish. So for the ingredients, you need 250 grams of plain flour, a level teaspoon of salt, a level teaspoon of bicarbonate soda, 2 teaspoons of soft brown sugar, and 225 ml of buttermilk, or you can use live yogurt as well, like natural yogurt, if you want. And you may need a little less buttermilk, just you'll know yourself when you're making it. So for the utensils, you need a large bowl, you need a baking sheet and baking parchment, or you can grease the tin as well. You need a sieve. I don't have it in the picture there, but you need a wooden spoon, or a knife can work as well for when you're stirring it, just to bring in all the ingredients and bring in the liquid as well, and a measuring jug then for the buttermilk, and obviously your scales and your measures as well. So step 1, measure and weigh all your ingredients. I have them all there. Step 2, you combine them all in the bowl and make a little well in the center for the buttermilk. So you add in your buttermilk slowly. I started off with the spoon, but then I poured in the knife. That was a tip from my mum, who also took all the pictures, so thanks to her for that. But using the knife kind of cuts through the flour and kind of integrates it in a different way. So the spoon might work better for you, or if you find it's not working well, you can use the knife, but you can also use your hand as well after a while to bring in the last bit, and that's in step 4 here. So you start mixing it by hand, and if you need a little bit of extra flour, put that in as well. So yeah, you keep mixing it. In the second picture here, you can see that it forms a ball, and you kind of want the sides of the bowl to be clean. That kind of shows you when you're done, basically all the extra mixture that might have been off has all been integrated into the dough. So step 5 here, you very lightly knead it. You just kind of want to bring the dough together and just smooth out the cracks. So you don't knead it as much as like other yeast spreads or anything, just barely knead it and kind of form it into that, just kind of the shape you want, basically, whatever shape you want it to be, but kind of the domed disc is the best way for it to come out like this. So you I have 2 done here because they're quite small actually. And you get a sharp knife or a blade or something, and you score the top of them, so you cut them like that. That lets out the steam or the fairies or whatever you want. Step 7 then, you bake at 230 for 12 minutes, and then at 200 for a further 15. So just kind of check them around the 12 to make sure they're okay. You don't need to take them out, just keep an eye on them, and then bake them for another roughly 15 at 200. But on our oven is quite hot, so we bake it at 180 at the start and then 150, So just, your own oven, whatever settings suit best, and keep an eye on it as well. And then step 8, so you take out the bread, and you'll know it's done if you kind of pick it up and tap the base of it and it's hollow. Now just mind your hands because it'll be very hot when it comes out, but if it sounds hollow when you tap the base, then it's done. These weren't my best ones, they came out, but I hadn't a picture of the top of the last one, so you can kind of see the way it's scored at the top there. And then if you want to soften the crust, that's another trick from my mum, is that you wrap it in tea towel so it kind of keeps the steam in and it softens it a little bit. And yeah, that's everything. And you can serve it with butter and jam. It's nice toasted as well, but because it's so simple, any real flavours that you want to bring, maybe from your culture or just anything else you think might be interesting in it, because it's so simple, you can kind of put whatever else. I haven't actually tried much else. Raisins and stuff like that would be quite common in Ireland. I've done it with raisins before, but maybe there's other different spices or maybe even herbs or something you want to try in it, and that'd be wonderful as well. I'd say anything, because it's so simple and there's very little other ingredients, so whatever you kind of put into it will become the main part of it. So thanks a million, guys.
Springtime marks the time of nature's renewal. It marks rebirth and most especially new beginnings. Cultures celebrate this transition from winter to spring in unique ways. In Romania, this stage is marked by Mărțișor. Some ethnologists believe that Mărțișor has a Roman origin, while others believe it has a Daco-Thracian origin. In ancient Rome, New Year's Eve was celebrated on March the 1st, Martius, as the month was called in honor of the god Mars. Mars was the god of war and agricultural guardian, who ensured nature's rebirth. Therefore, the red and white colors of Mărțișor may be explained as colors of war and peace. The Thracians also celebrated New Year's Eve on the 1st of March, a month named after the god Marsis Silen, the inventor of the whistle, fluier, traditional musical instrument in Romania, whose cult was related to the land and vegetation. Thracian spring celebrations connected to fertility and the rebirth of nature were consecrated to him. In some areas, Daco-Romanians still celebrate the agrarian New Year in spring, where the first days of March are considered days of a new beginning. Here's the legend of Mărțișor. One old legend says that there was a time when the sun used to take the shape of a young woman and descend on earth to dance among folk people. A dragon found out about this and followed the sun on earth, captured him and confined him in a dungeon in his castle. Suddenly, the birds stopped singing and the children could not laugh anymore, but no one dared to confront the dragon. One day, a brave young man set out to find the dungeon and free the sun. The journey lasted 3 seasons, summer, autumn, and winter. At the end of the 3rd season, the brave young man could finally reach the castle of the dragon where the sun was imprisoned. The fight lasted several days until the dragon was defeated. Weakened by his wounds, the brave young man, however, managed to set the sun free, to the joy of those who believed in him. Nature was alive again, people got back their smile, but the brave young man could not make it through spring. His warm blood was draining from his wounds in the snow. With the snow melting, white flowers called snowdrops, harbingers of spring, sprouted from the thawing soil. When the last drop of the brave young man's blood fell on the pure white snow, He died with pride that his life served a noble purpose. Since then, people braid 2 tassels, one white and one red. Every March 1st offers this amulet called Mărțișor. It's a trinket to the woman they love. The red color symbolizes love for all that is beautiful and also the blood of the brave young man, while white represents purity, good health, and the snowdrop is the first flower of spring. Mărțișor is celebrated differently in different regions in Romania. For example, in Transylvania, it is common to see mărțișor hung on doors, windows, or even the horns of domestic animals, according to the belief that this way the evil spirits are driven away. In the Oradea area, there is a belief that people become healthier and more beautiful if they wash themselves with fresh rainwater on this particular day. People in Dobrogea usually wear mărțișoare until the arrival of the roosters, then throw them up in the air so that they received a winged happiness. And in Moldova, as well as beyond the Prut River, there is a custom for mărțișoare to be offered by girls to boys on March 1st, so that 7 days later, on March 8th, boys will be the ones who offer mărțișoare back to them. Along with the mărțișor, there is a tradition of offering bouquets of early spring flowers, usually snowdrops. So, with a snowdrop and a trinket, mărțișor, the Romanian people continue to preserve their culture and traditions each and every year. Mărțișor reminds us that we are part of a history that defines our past, shapes who we are today, and who we are likely to become. The end.
When you think of spring, nature tends to come to mind. Your first thought is often of flowers blooming. This brings us to our next presentations from South Korea and Romania. Listen on to hear about the cherry blossom season and the beginning of spring celebration known as Mărțișor.
Hi, my name is Evelyn and I'm from South Korea. And since even people from the same culture have different culture experiences within a culture, I would introduce one of the spring celebrations in South Korea from my own cultural lens instead of laying out general facts. So if you're ready, now let's take a little trip to spring in South Korea. Although there are many celebrations for spring in Korea, one of the most popular, also one of my favorite celebration is Cherry Blossom Festival. Cherry blossom season in Korea is around late March to mid-April, and it is a magical time since the country shrugs off the winter chill and re-emerges bearing beautiful colors and scents. The blossom especially comes into full bloom for only 1 or 2 weeks, so everyone comes out and celebrate spring all together in this period. Among many cherry blossom festivals all over the country, the one in Seoul is the one I have many good memories with. So this is the map of Seoul, and one of the celebration that is happening is at Yeouido. So this is Yeouido, and Yeouido is an island on Han River. You see Han River over there, and it is the main finance and banking district with skyscrapers. There are also many parks in the island along the Han River, so people, including the businessmen working nearby, often come to these parks to have a picnic or have a walk. So this is the general scene of Yeouido. So you can see lots of buildings and also the Han River as well, and on the parks on along the river. So you can actually rent a bike, and so you can bike around the river, or bike around the whole island as well. And there are gonna be a lot of music festivals. Also, you will see many indie musicians busking on the streets. There are gonna be market, and they sometimes sell really good street foods. And families and friends and couples come out to have a picnic or have a beer by the river. There are also fountains and outdoor swimming pools, so you will see lots of kids in swimsuits playing in the water. So this is the Cherry Blossom Festival in Yeouido, and this marks the beginning of spring in Korea, which we celebrate with laughter, music, foods, and warm sunlight. I hope you enjoyed little spring tour in Yeouido, and I will end the presentation with a photo of me. So I found a few cherry blossom trees in Limerick when I lived there, and I was so happy when I saw them since it reminded me of spring in my home country. And you can see I'm indulging myself with the scent of cherry blossom. I hope everyone is excited for the spring that's coming. And take care, and thank you for listening.
For each of us, our culture is part of who we are. Cultural events are important because they bring us together as groups, and this way we get to know our communities, neighborhoods, our countries. When our society is made up of different cultural groups, this is a chance for us to participate in more moments of joy, more social gatherings and celebration. An example of a very diverse country with numerous traditions and incomparable beauty is Iraq. Iraqi people here in Ireland bring this richness and beauty of diversity to us here in Munster.
Every year in February, communities in Iraq honor Al-Khadr, a holy figure who, according to ancient beliefs, grants worshippers their wishes, particularly those in need. Khadr Ilyas has been associated with the green and water. Also, the springs starts in Yazidis and Turkmen culture. In northern Iraq, families gather during the last 3 days of the month on a hill. They are believed the shrine located here. Dressed in traditional clothes, they enjoy specially prepared dishes and perform a popular dance called dabka. In the center of Iraq, people gather on the banks of Tigris River on the Kurd side of Baghdad. Moreover, there are many rituals and different religions such as Muslim, Christians, Ashurians, Turkmen, Kurds, and Yazidis are visit his shrine in Baghdad. Among of these special rituals are practiced, such as bringing sugar, salt, henna, sweet, and myrtle leaves. In the evening, candles are lit with wishes and making vows for their wishes to be granted. The candles are fixed on a piece of wood and pushed into the river to float on this service. If the candle go out before reaching the other side, the wishes are said to come true.
Music and dances are a vital part of these celebrations worldwide. This brings us to Ireland, where traditional Irish music and dance competitions can be enjoyed at this moment of the year.
My name is Alana Herity. I represented Ireland at the World Championships of Irish Dancing back in 2015. So this competition always takes place during springtime, and there
Hello everybody. Now, we can all agree, Alana's a good dancer. She does some Irish dancing on the side, but you came here today to see some real Irish dancing. And I myself did set dancing, not the exact same as Irish dancing, but up until the age of 9. So if you want to see some real Irish dancing, watch the next clip.
Okay. I do not know what that was, but in all seriousness, let's show you some real Irish dancing.
While in the northern hemisphere the cold winter is everywhere, in the southern hemisphere it is the warm weather of summer that characterizes the start of the year. In Brazil and Colombia, the carnival is in the air, and the music and dances take control of the streets. Flowers decorate the parade floats, and colorful costumes catch attention. Similarly, in Bangladesh and Eastern India, the flowers and colors such as yellow, red, and orange are seen everywhere and are essential in traditional dresses.
One tradition related to spring is Carnival, which is a Christian festive season that occurs before the season of Lent. There's no fixed date for the event since it's connected to Easter, but typically it occurs in February or March. and it lasts around 5 days. It all started in the ancient times, possibly its roots are a primitive festival honoring the beginning of the new year and the rebirth of nature, but it took its current form during the Middle Ages since the Catholic Church incorporated pagan festivities into their calendar. Carnival in Brazil is the traditional combination of a Roman Catholic festival with the lively celebrations of people of African ancestry. It evolved mainly in urban coastal areas, notably in the former plantation zones along the coast, but nowadays we can find Carnival all over the country. Rhythm, participations and costumes vary from one region to another. The most famous modern carnival is perhaps that of Rio de Janeiro. There, huge organized parades are led by samba schools. Those official parades are meant to be watched by the public, and usually they bring a strong discussion on important social issues. Minor parades, that we call blocos, with public participation can be found in many other cities like Belo Horizonte, São Paulo, Curitiba. Bahia, in the northeastern region, is strongly influenced by the African-Brazilian culture. Here the crowds follow the trios elétricos, a kind of a truck with a stage, through the city streets, dancing and singing almost 24/7. Olinda Carnival features unique characteristics, heavily influenced by local folklore and cultural manifestations. The ruling rhythm is frevo, and the party is accompanied by giant dolls, usually representing famous people. In Pernambuco, we have maracatus, groups that preserve folk dances and music of African-Brazilian origins with a religious background. We can say Carnival is a time when social rules are reversed and norms about desired behavior are suspended. That's why it is a festivity associated with freedom and joy, when all of us allow ourselves to simply celebrate life. In Ireland, the Brazilian community is increasing every year, and with it, the celebration of Carnival in Irish lands.
Carnivals are celebrated in different Latin American countries, and Colombia is not an exception. In the melting pot of the Caribbean port city Barranquilla, you will find African, indigenous, European, and Middle Eastern traditions coming together in Colombia's largest carnival celebration. Barranquilla Carnival is the second largest carnival in South America and is labeled by UNESCO as a masterpiece of oral and intangible heritage of humanity. This folkloric celebration is one of the largest globally, but attracts far fewer international tourists than its Latin American counterparts. It has been running for more than 3 centuries, and it was a holiday for the city's African slaves communities. This carnival is also celebrated before Ash Wednesday and lasts 4 days, but people usually start celebrating 1 week beforehand. La Batalla de las Flores, the Battle of Flowers, is a 6-hour parade. It's the biggest in the carnival and sees the carnival king and queen crowned amid floats, costumes, and cumbia dancing. Unlike the carnival in Brazil, characterized by samba music, the Barranquilla Carnival is characterized by rhythms of salsa, cumbia, and vallenato. While the carnival origins are unknown, it emerged from a combination of pagan ceremonies, Catholic beliefs, and ethnic diversity. In Brazil or in Colombia, Carnival represents the magic and joy of being alive.
We came to the end of our Munster Global Village 1, full of admiration about spring celebrations around the world. These events bring people together. Cultural events are social events. People need and want other people to share their joy and their sorrow and witness important life events. People want people to live with each other. Cultural diversity can be intimidating because we don't know each other's languages and we do not understand why some people do certain things. And it is okay to fear the unknown. This is exactly why our Sanctuary with Psychology project aims to break down those fears and barriers and teach people how to ask questions. Why and when and who does what in your culture? We provide a safe space where curiosity and respect are key, where the intention to find out about each other is more important than the fear of offending or making mistakes. We suspend judgment of right or wrong until we understand why and what is really happening. They say that we are not what we know, but what we are willing to learn. Now, so many of our participants declared at the end of our global village that they enjoyed learning so much and meeting so many people from so many different cultures, but all living in Ireland, our neighbors, our colleagues. Our participants became comfortable asking questions, wanting more of these opportunities, and they will come back for Global Village too. But above all, everyone appreciated the opportunity to be proud of their own culture in the presence of others. People living abroad or those living in their own country have a fundamental psychological need to share and be seen in the beauty and complexity of their cultural identities. Cultural diversity gives us these opportunities. Cultural events are social events, and we are grateful to all our participants for coming together to make this intercultural experience so rewarding and truly transformative. Mulțumim! Hartelijk dank! Muchas gracias! Merci! Shukran! Dziękuję!